So you want film quality photos, but you don't want to have to mess with a film camera. I might have a solution for you. Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I'm a photographer and videographer, but more important than that, I'm a husband and a father. And recently, a company reached out to me about some software that they have that helps you transform your digital images into film images. Now, I personally love the look of film, but I'm not a film photographer. I have never used a film camera besides like those disposable film cameras that, I used as a kid. But like my go-to camera, the Fujifilm X100F, I like to try and emulate film with my edits. But what about getting your photos to actually look like film? Well, that's where this company Dehancer comes into play. They have software that really tries to make your photos look like film photos and edit in such a way that it feels like you're working with film, or at least that's what it's supposed to be. Again, I'm not a film photographer, so there's a lot about it that I don't understand, but Dehancer reached out to me, asked if I wanted to try out their software and do a little review on it, and I was like, yeah. So today I'm gonna show you what I've learned from Dehancer, what I like about it, and on top of that, I'm gonna show you what I really like about it. Spoiler alert, it's their iOS app. Let's get into it. So Dehancer is a plugin software that uses the developer's years of experience to really try to emulate film. For me, I feel like you can always tell when a photo is film and when it's not film just by the look of it. Maybe there's other people who can tell better than me, but like I remember when I was working with Super 8 for the first time, like I could especially tell. Like every time I tried making my footage look like Super 8 footage, like it was just clear that it wasn't. Photos, maybe I'm not as good at telling, but I still feel like when I see certain people I know post photos on social media, like I can tell if it's a digital image that's trying to look like film or if it's just a straight up film image. And so I don't fully know if I believe that you can make digital images look like film, but I think you can try and I think you can emulate them, and I think that's okay. So I'm going to import some photos that we took this past weekend, just of friends and my wife and I having some fun on a boat. And I'm gonna pull them into the software and we're gonna see what we get out of them. Okay, so Dehancer has multiple different plugin options for different softwares. I chose to go with the plugin for Adobe Lightroom. So the first step you have to do is you have to pull your photos into Lightroom. And then from there, you can go to the plugin. So we're gonna start with this photo of our friend Sarah, whose birthday we are celebrating. So I'm just gonna go to Edit in, Dehancer Lightroom plugin, and I'm going to edit a copy. And then in here, you have a ton of different film presets that they have created and cultivated for you that you can pick through. And it's basically like using a preset in Lightroom. You're starting with the base and then you can make your own adjustments from there. So there's a few that I typically like. But I'll always go through and kind of scan and see which ones do I like the most. But I have favorited a few and I probably will find myself going to that. I do like this Fujifilm one, but the Fujifilm Pro 400 is one of my favorites. I just love the color that it gives. But we'll keep scanning and see what else we got. I haven't used an Ektachrome, but I don't think that works well. I don't like how, we're on a river and the river is really muddy. I don't like how muddy it makes it. Kodak Gold is always a classic. And I think Kodak Gold looks similar to my normal edits. So I usually am kind of in that way. I usually pick in that. And then I also like Kodak Portra 400. This is one that my wife likes more so. And I think our friend Sarah would probably like this one the most. So I think I'm gonna go with Portra 400. Now, from there, you can then come over to this side and you can work with all of your different settings. Now, this is the thing that kind of confused me a little bit because editing film photos is different than editing digital photos. When you're taking film photos, you're working differently with the light. And so it's stuff that I just don't fully understand. I think if you are a film photographer, this is something you would understand better. But I'm still trying to figure it out. So there's not too much changing that I want to do to this image. I do think I want to change the color just a little bit. We're gonna make it a little bit warmer. And then I don't feel like we need to add in much grain. I always like to add in a little bit of grain, but we'll add in maybe just a little bit more. Yeah. So I think that's decent right there. There's a bunch of different other options. You can work with the color of the image. You can do kind of like a print layout. So you can, if you were going to print this on different papers, it gives a look to it, which I do like that Kodak Endura, the glossy, definitely more than the other one. So we'll do that. And like I said, there's already film grain that I added in. Halation, I don't think I'm gonna work with this one too much because there's not, actually, the halation does brighten her skin a little bit, so we'll turn that on. And then you've got the bloom. The bloom just kind of is gonna give a little bit of softness to that light. So we'll turn that on. I'm not gonna mess with the settings of it too much. Vignette is, you can definitely work with that. I don't like the vignette. I don't typically like vignette on it, so I'll leave that off. So that's pretty much all I do to the image, because for me, again, like, I'm not a huge film photographer, so I don't understand some of this stuff as much as other film photographers have, but I do like the look that it gives to the image. So once I've got the image the way I like it, we'll say okay. And then it'll save a copy in Lightroom. So there is my Lightroom copy. So let's do another one. We'll do this one of my buddy Steven. So again, we're going to edit in Dehancer. Now it's automatically going to put on the same filter that I had. So we'll stick with that, keep these all consistent. Right now though, the thing that I notice is I don't like how soft this image is. So let's go down to, let's turn off bloom and let's turn off halation a little bit. That definitely helps. And it does, this does look more like a film image. The one thing I would love to do is bring like the highlights down a little bit, but that's not really an option. I can bring the contrast down, or the exposure compensation down, and that'll help. Definitely isn't looking as soft anymore. So that's it without anything. With the edit, I like that. I'm happy with that. We'll say okay. Let's do, this will be an interesting one because of the highlights in the image. So let's try this one out. So definitely changes the look. The lighting is different. It's a little bit of a darker image on my buddy Justin. So let's bring the exposure compensation up. Not too much, because I don't want, yeah. See, this is one where I'd want the shadows to come up, but that's not necessarily something I guess you can work with in film as well as or as easily in digital. Again, like I'm not an expert in this. Like, I'm just going based off of what I think looks good. So like, if you're wanting a full expert's opinion, that's not me. This is more so like, are these images that I would enjoy editing? Are these images that I would enjoy posting and sharing? And is this a fun software for me to use? And then are there any other ones that I want to edit? Or we just start with those? Let's do this one because there's no person in it. Okay, so again, it's gonna throw that Portra right on there. I really like how that looks, but I want to try turning the halation and the bloom back on. I like that. And I don't feel like that's as necessary. So we'll just go with that. So there you go. Easy way to allow your photos to have a little bit more of a film look to them. Now, after you've edited your photos in Dehancer's plugin, if you do want to work with stuff like the shadows, you can still do that in Lightroom. So I could go into this photo and I could pull those shadows up. I could bring the highlights down. I could work with the color. I could do all these different things. You know, I could work with specific colors. It just depends on how much you want to do. For me, what I like about this tool and what I'm looking for in this tool is I'm looking for something that gives me film-like photos in a really easy way. And I think this program is really, really cool. I love all the different options that you have when it comes to choosing different profiles. And what I really love about this is that if I ever do want to start taking film photos, this software can give me an idea of what kind of film styles I like, whether I like, you know, Portra 400 or Kodak Gold or whatever. It kind of gives me a taste of what would be the film that I would want to buy and try out, instead of just not really having any idea and picking a random one. So I think that's cool. But again, for me, what I want out of this is I want something that's easy and allows my photos to get a film-like look. And I think that while this software is amazing and does a really good job, for me personally, I don't love working with it on my computer because it's too many steps and it's too tedious. If I want to edit photos to look like film, I have to first plug in the SD card, back up the photos onto the computer, pull them into Lightroom, you know, do all this, and then I go from Lightroom into Dehancer. And that's just too many steps in all reality for me. Like for most people, it's probably not, but I'm looking for something easy and quick. And it's just too many steps. But that is why I really, really like their iOS app. So the iOS app, very similar to the plugin. Basically, you're going to go in, open it up, and pick the images you want to edit. So we'll start with the same one of Sarah, and you can do pretty much everything you want to do in the plugin on the computer in the iOS app. So I'm gonna go and find the exact same edit, and we're going to put the exact same edit on it and see if we can tell a difference between the two. Okay, so we're gonna put Portra on, and then we'll go into edits. Let's see, yep, glossy paper. Exposure is pretty much the same. So in the edit, you can start going through and you can change things like the contrast. You can work with the compensation, same as in the other one. Black point, white point, again, film stuff that I don't necessarily understand. Again, your profile for the print. So I'm gonna make sure we're still on that glossy paper. You can work with your yellows, blues, and greens. The film, we are going to add a little bit of film. I think we brought that size up to, like, I think we're around like 9. So we'll just move it up to there. Halation, we did have halation on, and we had bloom on. Vignette, we didn't have any. Here's something I didn't see in the other one. You can add a film damage to it. So if you want to add like dust to the image, you can do that, which is kind of cool. And then if you want to add like a film overlay, like a overscan feature, you can do that as well, which again, that's a cool thing. I didn't know you could do that, but I like that. For this one, we're not going to do that though. So there we have it. You can literally edit the same way that you want on your phone as you can in the computer app. So we'll go ahead and export that one. Now I'll edit one more photo on the app that I didn't edit beforehand in the computer and just see what we like. So let me find maybe just like an iPhone photo that I can edit. Okay, we'll do one of these ones of my wife and I from this trip, but was taken on my iPhone. So we can see kind of what it would look like if we were using an iPhone photo. So we'll start with preset, and we're gonna work with Portra. So we're gonna keep it on Portra. I definitely feel like there's more saturation in this photo than the other ones. Let's bring the contrast down a little bit. Let's bring the saturation down. Maybe not. I just don't love how yellow it is. So let's maybe bring that down a little bit. Okay, save to gallery. So there we go. Now I've edited a few of those photos to look a little bit more like film. I think they look good to me. I don't see too much difference than on the computer. At the same time, I don't know if I personally see too much difference from like my normal edit that I typically have. And that could just be that I'm not fully understanding Dehancer as much as someone who really works with film would. But for me, again, what I'm trying to judge here is this an easy and fun tool for an everyday user who maybe doesn't know everything about film, but wants their photos to have a little bit of a film-like look? I think that you can definitely get your photos to have a film-like look through the software, but I think this is probably more for the people who are more professional photographers, or more, maybe not even professional, but like are working with film on a regular basis, and want to have a little bit of fun with digital in their images. I think if you're just an everyday person who is taking family photos and photos to make memories, and you've never worked with film, but you want your photos to have a film-like look, this will give it to you, but you may not fully be able to grasp everything that it's working with. It may be confusing, because it's confusing for me. Like, I've never worked with film, and I'm confused just by some of the different editing elements of it. But it definitely does give my photos a little bit of a film-like look, I feel like. Now, there might be other people out there who judge and be like, those don't look like film. Okay, that's fine. I'm not a film photographer, but I like the way that this edit looks. And so for me, Dehancer is definitely an app that I will be using on my phone. I doubt that I'll be using it on the computer, again, just because to get the images I want, like, I don't want to have to go through the process of going into Lightroom and going into Dehancer, especially because when I'm taking photos on my everyday carry camera, like, I use Adobe Lightroom, not Adobe Lightroom Classic, which is what you have to use to get the plugin. And it's just an extra couple of steps that I don't want to have to take. I want these to be easy and quick. And so for me, I will either just edit the photos in Lightroom and not use Dehancer, or I'll pull them from my camera to my phone and then edit them in Dehancer iOS app. And I think for me, that's probably where I'll use this the most. I will use this on my phone to edit the photos. So I think this is a fun tool, and if it's a tool that you're interested in, you can check out a little bit more. There is a code and a link down below to check it out. There's a code that will give you 10% off of their softwares for the computer. Unfortunately, it doesn't give you any code for the iOS, which I think personally is where this app shines for me, and where I would encourage people to check it out. But if it's something that interests you, there is a monthly fee or an annual fee that you can test it out, see if you like it, decide if you want to commit to it or not. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this has given you an idea of maybe some ways that you can edit your photos to give it a little bit more of a film-like look. And I'd love to hear from you. Is this an app that you would be interested in using? Or are there other apps out there too that maybe I should be checking out? So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, I would love it if you would subscribe. Hit the like button down below if you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you in the next one. I don't know. This honestly has made me think maybe I should take this camera with me on vacation and try film out for the first time. Should I do it?